The top try scorer from Illawarra last year. Very unlucky not to make the Queensland State of Origin side, but he'll certainly be showing his wares in front of the Queensland State of Origin coach, Wayne Bennett, this afternoon. And of course, Wayne Bennett, he's the coach of the Canberra Raiders.
From the Australian capital, the Canberra Raiders, coached by Don Fern.
So out come the Canberra Raiders. And there's Ivan Henjak, the last man onto the field. And there's that very impressive back line from this year. Belcher at fullback, and look at those wingers. Fay and Ferguson, Meninga, Jackson, Henjak and O'Sullivan. Probably the most talented, or certainly one of the most talented back lines in the competition. The forward pack, Backo and Todd, the big men to watch. These two forwards had blinders against Cronulla. And Dean Lance, he's the workhorse. He's the man that really lifts them, the Canberra captain, and certainly one of the most important men out there today. And Wayne Bennett, the coach. Trump card could well be Mal Meninga this afternoon, the 26-year-old who some people are suggesting already might have to make the move to the forward shortly. Don Furner made the experiment on the Kangaroo Tour. He was certainly a success there, but Big Mal thinks he's still got a couple more years left in the centres, and he'll be very determined to grab one of those centre three-quarter positions in the Queensland State of Origin side, and he'll certainly be putting in a big performance this afternoon. Well, there's the kick-off, Meninga kicking off, and it's Illawarra who are defending that southern end of the ground in the first half, and they're running it back towards their own quarter line. Well, Steve-O, any early predictions?
I think it'll be very, very close, David. I think that Illawarra probably will miss Greg Mackey, of course, suspended this week, and he's one of their key players. He gets the ball out wide, but let's not take anything away from the 5'8" Jeff Hardy. He's a strong guy, but I think it's going to be very, very close. I think one mistake could turn the tide.
So there's the first kick of the afternoon, except for the kickoff, of course, and Belcher, who is one of the most exciting stars of the Kangaroo Tour, runs it back towards the halfway. My word, he was only a centimetre behind Gary Jack on the tour. And of course, young Potter will put pressure on both of them this year as Ferguson goes for a bit of a gallop from dummy half.
It's amazing, David, the quality of fullbacks they do have in Australia. I'm sure that England would love to have anybody of the class at Belcher, and of course Potter.
And Todd has knocked the ball on, and so the first scrum of the match will go down. The referee is Kevin Roberts. 2 metres inside Illawarra's territory, back towards the centre of the field.
Very interesting, David. Both sides were out on at the training paddock behind the stand here 10 minutes before the kickoff. Now, it's very warm out there, and they were going through a lot of calisthenics. Rather surprising.
That's right. And so Illawarra with the ball after winning the first scrum, which you'd expect. That's little Perry Haddock moving into the dummy half position. We've had a few problems, Illawarra. Carney running the ball up. No doubt he will play at times in amongst the forwards, despite, of course, being chosen in the centres. Now taking it up this time is Michael Carberry. Hasn't he grown over the years? Remembering when he was at South Sydney. And again, Illawarra content to kick the ball and keep it down inside Canberra's territory, but if they keep kicking it straight to Belcher, they're going to be in trouble.
Certainly are, David. I'm surprised that they've done that. I said before the match kicked off that they didn't want to kick to him. And the first two kicks straight down his throat.
And there goes Mal Meninga, straight down the centre of the ruck, held up midway half and quarter line, inside Canberra's territory. Now taken up is Todd. It's the first time we've seen this New Zealander. Switch it back the other side. And this time it was Coyne. And now they run it back up through to the backs now. Henjak, and little Ivan Henjak up to the halfway line before he's cut down from behind. Now Meninga's going to kick for touch this time, puts in the hurried kick, and goes straight down the throat of Kelly. Kelly, well, through the dummy, might well have been able to give it away to Larder. Well, let's cross down to the sideline and get some comments from Ian Hansen as we see Canberra giving away a penalty. O'Sullivan coming in a little bit too vigorously in the tackle, and no doubt during Ian's little talk we might even see the ball come sailing into picture.
Thanks, David. I'm sure that with Greg Mackey out of this team, a lot of pressure is on Jeff Hardy. And one player he's going to look out for is Ivan Henjak. Henjak has had a tremendous start of the season, and he's the key player in my book for Canberra.
So there we are. Play resuming almost right in front of Ian Hansen. That ball sailing over the sideline. Wasn't all that far away from him in the end. So Illawarra with the ball just inside Canberra's territory. That's Boulder, dummy half, going on his own. A few more metres. Hammered into the ground. Steve Walters there. They've gone the short side this time. Now that's coming back in amongst the forwards again, Steve Worthington. Worthington might have injured himself in that tackle. A bit slow to get up.
Well, he went down rather awkwardly. I think a bit of a problem with his shoulder, perhaps.
Well, Steve, let's have a look at that one again.
There didn't look to be anything here. It's a nice ball out wide, and he seems to step inside and gets dumped to the ground. Oh, maybe a little bit of a high one there. Probably just shaking his marbles a little bit.
Well, that's Haddock going across field, and Hetherington taken beautifully, and ball and all defence out there. That really was a good tackle. Dean Lance, the defender that time. Now Haddock switches it back the blind side. Withall finds a good pass out towards Worthington again, and Worthington's tackled about 40 metres out. Last tackle against the Steelers. This will be a penalty, or is it? No. Referee, I think, just about to blow the whistle, and the Illawarra player managed to get up and play the ball. So the scrum will go down for the good kick. Only about 18 metres out from Canberra's line, and so Sullivan to put the ball in for Canberra.
This was a good kick here and a good play by the little halfback Haddock. Gave himself plenty of room.
So Henjak with the ball now. That's Larder up in the line doing the defence. Belcher, penalty, Illawarra offside. Well, that's the sort of thing Brian Smith certainly would be hoping against this afternoon, getting themselves down into position to try and effect 5 or 6 tackles, forcing Canberra to make a mistake. They have done at the moment. That's Jackson who's made a meal of that kick. And still Steve-O. Well, I don't think Smith would be too happy about them giving away the position that they had originally anyway.
Not really, David, but you've got to excuse these players. I mean, it's hot out there and they're all pent up. They really want to get involved into the game. And of course, a little bit over-enthusiastic early in the game.
So Walters a dummy half, and here's another penalty, and that's for the double markers not marking up correctly.
Oh, yeah, don't do that again.
Well, that's not an over-enthusiasm, David. That's just stupidity.
We've seen that a few times early in the season, though. We've seen referees clamping down on that. They certainly have been watching that double marker situation. We've seen a few clubs over the recent years, some of those with the better defensive records, use it to perfection.
Well, it's obvious, David, that they're going to do that because only this week they're talking about changing the rule, trying to get away with the second marker. They can't change it for this season, but the referee can make sure that they're straight behind.
So Walters sends it coming up down the centre this time. Canberra get it away through O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan down to the quarter line. He almost threw the pass away again to Walters. This time they'll come the open side. Henjak now. That's Jackson. And Jackson got the ball back on the inside to Belcher. Belcher slipped the pass. It's been picked up by Henjak. Henjak for the line. And little fellow's still going. He's only a couple of metres away. Canberra right on the attack. Walters into dummy half. The pass has been knocked down. It should be 6 to go. It is. So Canberra with a good opportunity. They're only 6 metres away. They'll send it out this side as they do now through Meninga. Meninga goes on his own. Slips the pass back to Walters. On it goes to Coyne. And Coyne might have lost the ball. It's loose on the ground and Haddock has it for Illawarra.
Desperation stakes there for the Steelers. That was good play, especially by the young centre Jackson. Slipped the ball back inside to the fullback Belcher, and there we saw the class, David. The man linking through from the fullback, and that's going to cause a lot of problems for the Steelers' defence.
And there Illawarra again finding touch. A little bit fortuitous perhaps from Dean Carney's boot, but good players. Well, he even shakes his head. I think that says it all, Steve-O. I think the cheers were there for the kick, but I think Dean Carney's more or less saying there was a lot of luck in that and there wasn't much intent.
Certainly was, David, and lucky for him, it came off the outside of his left boot.
I was just about to say good players often make their own luck, but I think he more or less told the story in the end that there was no luck in it. But his mum Arlene is watching in Fig Tree Hospital this afternoon, so I hope you're enjoying it. Lovely photo on the front page of the Illawarra Mercury today, and let's hope the Dean can put in a big one. If he keeps having a little bit of luck go his way like that, it'll certainly be a good afternoon. But the penalty goes against Illawarra. It's Canberra with the ball just outside the quarter line, and that's Todd taking it up. He slipped a lovely pass away. So Walters. Now this is the other forward in Backo, and Backo's going almost all the way. Strength, determination. He's there, is he or not? Try, I think. It is. Fair try. Sam Backo, the try scorer. It's 4-0.
Brilliant try, David. And this is what football's all about, running onto the ball at full speed. And the big guy, watch him come onto this. Express train, get out of my way. And they did. Now there you saw a defender there, and that was really bad play by Worthington. He didn't shape himself up, he held off, and the strength of this man takes and does the rest. Now you'll see this from the head-on shot. Now watch Worthington here. He hangs off, didn't want to know. Backo says, out of my way, I'm going in. And this is not going to stop this fella. Boy, oh boy, look at the strength. Try number 1.
Sam Backo, power plus, his first try of the season, and the way he ran in for that one, there'll be more to come.
Well, they certainly will, Hansel. That really was power play.
Here's Mal. There's the extras added by Mal Meninga, and so Canberra have kicked away to lead by 6 points to 0 after just 8 minutes of play. And speaking with Don Furner throughout the Kangaroo tour, he kept on telling all of the members of the media who are on the tour, watch this man, Sam Backo, when you return to Australia. He's going to be bigger, he's going to be stronger, and he's in for a mighty season. Well, but that's the sort of football we're going to see from him throughout the year. We are going to see a lot of him.
Well, especially if the players like Worthington hang off him. You can't afford to do it, David.
The Canberra in front. And Dean Lance runs it back outside his own quarter line. It was a bad attempt at tackle, wasn't it?
Certainly was.
Coyne with the ball now.
And I'm sure that the coach, Brian Smith, will have a few words to say at the half-time break. If not, if he hadn't sent a message out already.
Ashley Gilbert tackled. Midway half and quarter line inside Canberra's territory. Meninga with it. That step and then manages to get his kick in. Down towards the quarter line. Getting back there is Larder. He's got McIndoe and support out to his left, but he can't get it away. Good defence. Henjak was up there and so too was Jackson. Now that's Kelly coming in from the right wing. Going down the centre. Henjak again round his bootlaces.
Get the impression, David, that Canberra Raiders, they're wanting to win this game a lot more than the Steelers. The Steelers look a bit confused out there.
We've seen some incredible results over the years. They've gone without it. Chris Withall knocking it on, and Canberra have come up with the ball. Walters. Lance's pass away towards Todd again, and Todd has tackled. Midway, half and quarter line, almost in centre field, inside Illawarra's territory. Henjak switches play. Back it goes the open side. Oh, they've gone without it, and this is the chance for Illawarra. The toe through. He was certainly hampered after he towed that ball through, and it's a penalty to the Illawarra Steelers. Good refereeing, Kevin Roberts. Let's go down to the sideline. I think Ian Hansen might have had a good view of that one.
Well, just before they scored that try, Sam Backo, it was Worthington who was down for his second period of attention. I wouldn't be surprised if he's somewhat concussed.
Of course, he was the man who was down originally, down just in front of our broadcast position here, Steve-O. We thought it might have been the shoulder, but Ian obviously a lot closer to the action. That might well explain the problem, because he was very nonplussed when Backo came through. But here's Carney with a long-range shot at penalty goal. Just inside Canberra's territory.
If that's the case, David, then Smith should take him off. He can't afford to have a guy just walking around the paddock that's not going to make any attempt at a tackle. Maybe he'll give him a few more minutes to get over it.
So Carney. Of course, in 1985, he was the leading point scorer in Sydney when he scored 194 points. And I'll never forget that goal from the sideline at Brookvale Oval. I think Philip Hurst it was who scored the corner in the left-hand, right in that left-hand corner. And then Dean Carney. I'll get back to that in just a moment. He was playing with Cronulla then. He's for Illawarra now. There's the kick. It looks very high. It looks fairly good, but just away to the right of the uprights. And Belcher runs it out. But he certainly had plenty of length in that kick. And I'll just get back to that story. It was right on the touchline and in front of Reg Gasner and myself doing a broadcast on radio that day. And the message got to Dean pretty quickly that I think it was Tony Armstrong had scored 192 and he needed 2 more points to be the leading point scorer for the season, and he put it over from the sideline.
Wouldn't you for a $1,000 check? I think it was $1,000, maybe $5 actually.
It was a good drink.
I didn't get one.
Canberra have got the ball midway, half and quarter line, inside their own territory as Meninga has it now, and again, so easy does he seem to evade the defenders. McIndoe's made a bit of a mistake of that attempted take, but he did knock it backwards, and so at least the Illawarra still retained possession. Larder runs it back towards the halfway line.
He may have made a meal of it, McIndoe, but it was good positioning by the wingman. He realised that the kick was on, and he was running that right the way back in the right spot.
Carberry to get up and play the ball just inside Illawarra's territory. Bolt, away it goes to big Chris Walsh. His first season with Illawarra, moving down from St George this season. Bolt sends it away the short side. Now the pass has come out towards Carney. Carney's out of one. He's over the quarter line. Can he get his pass back to Kelly? Kelly's knocked it on, but I think it's going to be a forward pass anyway. I wasn't sure whether maybe even Ferguson's hand might have touched the ball between Carney's pass getting into the hands of Kelly, but obviously the referee said no.
Well, just a bit of inexperience here by Carney. Now, he's trying to tell to the wingman, come inside, but he left it a little bit too late. And Kelly should have been in a little bit earlier than that.
Ball goes into that scrum, and it's going to be a penalty. It's against Haddock. I think he could have just about pinched both of them for not retiring that side, but he's got Haddock.
Well, they can get them nearly every scrum, David, but...
well, you can get hookers in every scrum.
What's wrong with hookers?
Plenty.
He penalised the halfback. It says in the rules they both have to retire back. He didn't, penalty.
And Kevin Roberts telling the Illawarra Steelers they've got to get back the 10 metres. Gee, that was a nice tackle. The referee's going to cook.
He's off.
He sent him off.
My word.
In fact, Todd has been sent off
For using the elbow.
using the elbow.
Well, this is quite explicit. A picture tells 1,000 words.
Well, there's
Beautiful,
no doubts about that. I saw Walsh, he didn't flinch, he just came up and took the man ball and all. And I was just about to say, what a good ball and all tackle. And it shows you how tough Chris Walsh is, because he took a very heavy knock. As you can see, he's a bit gingerly on his feet, but Todd has been banished for the remainder of the match, and he'll be in at the judiciary on Monday night.
Well, you think these players, David, had learned the last 2 weeks, the referees have said any infringement, that off. Now, you see it here from a different angle from the back here. Now, there's no doubt about it. He fended off with his elbow. Used to be an Englishman, did that quite well. Played with Manly for a long, long time.
And we might go down to the sideline, because that incident happened right in front of Ian Hansen.
Certainly did, David, and to me, it looked very similar to the tackle last week with David Gillespie being sent off with a tackle on Paul when he hit Paul Sirinen.
Well, I wonder whether Rugby League Week, Ian, will come out with another photo this week so that we have more deliberation late on Friday afternoons.
Well, John Elliott is here on the sideline.
Well, I can't believe that, Hanso. You'd think that these players had learned. The judiciary has been busy all this week, and there they are within minutes of this game. We find them running in with the elbow. They deserve to get sent off if they do that.
So Canberra now, they might be leading 6-0, but they've got their backs to the wall as they have the ball just inside Illawarra's territory, and taking it up this time is Walters. He's tackled 11 metres Illawarra's side of halfway. Now that's O'Sullivan going straight across the field, trying to link up out there with Fay, which he does in the end. Fay trying to get away from McInerney. Back it goes to Henjack. Henjack down over the quarter line. The little man still going. He tried to get the pass back on the inside, and Larder's got it for Illawarra.
Well, a wasted chance there by the Canberra Raiders, but I've been very impressed with them, David. They're keeping this ball. Oh, dearie me.
And that's another mistake from Chris Withall.
I was just about to say, David, they've kept this ball alive, Canberra, and they really are. They're going to be an exciting outfit at 87.
Well, that's two mistakes now that Chris has made almost in the same area. Dropped the ball twice, and certainly that is giving Canberra some great opportunities. Mal Meninga going on his own. Big Mal, can he get there on his own? Pops the pass up. Ferguson scores. Good football from Big Mal. Held it up originally, went through the gaping hole. He could have scored himself. He's such a big and strong man, but unselfishly gave the ball to Chicka Ferguson. It's 10-0.
Boy, oh boy, David, right out of the magician's hat, this one. Watch the beautiful dummy. He holds it up, a beautiful long ball from Henjack. Now you'd think that he's going to bring Belcher onto the ball. Whoops, there he goes. Now you see it, now you don't. And the big fella strides through. Now Carney goes low, he does the right thing, just gets his shirt. And the big fella could have gone on his own, did the right thing. Ferguson in the right spot at the right time. A good try. Oh, but what a dummy. Oh, there you see it, now you don't. And they say this guy is going to eventually finish up in the forwards. Not if he keeps going through like that. That's sheer skill and strength. Unorthodox pass over the top. Ferguson says, I'll do that all day.
Try to John Ferguson, still one of the best finishers in the game. His first try of the year.
And now we're about to see Mal Meninga try and convert the try. That's the touchline just behind him, so he's about 8 metres in from touch. Might only be 6. Moving in, there's the kick, it looks pretty good, right off the boot, over the black dot, 2 more points to Canberra, and the Raiders have skipped away to lead by 12 points to 0, despite the fact that they've got Brent Todd sent off for that use of the elbow and the tackle involving Chris Walsh.
That was a tremendous try, David, and sheer skill by the Kangaroo centre.
Well, that is the type of football he played throughout the Kangaroo tour. And when he made his trek back to St Helens one Sunday afternoon on the Kangaroo tour, the reception was deafening, because we had 2 seasons with St Helens, and they really treat him as a god there, and that's the reason why. So Canberra running freely at the moment, within 12 metres of the halfway.
Well, let's go back to that, of course, camera down to 12 men, but let's go back and have a look for a different angle of this, where Brent Todd gets sent off. Sorry, the beautiful dummy of Meninga. A beautiful, beautiful dummy, and you won't see any better football than that. And this is a guy that a lot of people in Canberra said wasn't worth the money. Well, when you play football like that, shuts them up.
Well, and there, what a mighty kick that is. Now, he's kicked that ball from almost on the halfway, almost onto the full down to the goal line. So he's put a lot more pressure back onto the Illawarra Steelers. Larder plays the ball, running it away from dummy half as Kelly. And up there that time, Jackson and Ferguson. Bolt moves into dummy half. That's the Illawarra quarter line. Haddock, away it goes to Carney. Good ball and all tackle affected there by Lance. Finished off by Jackson. And also coming in and lending assistance that time was the second rower, Gary Coyne. And now Chris Withal's knocked it on again. You wouldn't believe it, would you? She's having a horror.
He's not having the best of games, I'll tell you. It looks as though he's carrying a little bit of beef this year, David.
That's 3 times he's knocked on inside his own quarter line, though, Steve-O. And, of course, the first one saw the try, or the second one saw the try come from him. The first one certainly put enough pressure on it. In the end, saw Canberra with the opportunity to post points. So there's Henjak, the will-o'-the-wisp. Canberra out wide it comes now. They're within about 12 metres of the line. It's Walters in a dummy half. Taken up again is Coyne. He's down 10 metres out now. They'll swing it this side as it comes to Henjak, and away it goes towards Meninga through onto Jackson. And Jackson's tackled. He's only about 12 metres away from the Steelers' line. They'll get a chance to swing it wide. No, O'Sullivan, the shot at field goal. It's hit the uprights. There's a chance again. Walters has knocked it on. Otherwise, the little hooker might have been able to regain and send Canberra further away.
Well, this was a fantastic attempt at the field goal. It hits it up. Now, watch the bat position of the Illawarra Steelers. They really didn't want that ball, and that could have been try number 3. And I'm sure their coach, Brian Smith, he'll be sending out more than just a message. They want a good kick up the backside, this Steelers mob.
Let's go down to the sideline and see what Ian Hansen's got for us down there.
Interesting, David, with Gary Coyne picked in the second row, now playing at prop. He is, in fact, a specialist prop.
Yes, of course, when he first came down from Queensland, he played in the prop forward position. So, admittedly, their scrum won't be weakened. Of course, Dean Lance has had a fair bit of second row experience, as Terry Fay seemed to lose that ball in the sun somewhere, and rather fortunate to come up with it as very quickly Hetherington was onto him. A Belcher tackle just inside Illawarra's territory. Now Fay running it up. What a good duel it should be, even for the remainder of this match between McIndoe and Fay. O'Sullivan scored 2 tries in the opening match against Cronulla. Walters, that's Henjak. Now it's with Meninga. He tries that little chip and chase, but back there reading that perfectly was Perry Haddock, and the Illawarra skipper has the ball midway half and quarter line inside Illawarra's territory. There's something wrong with that. That certainly can't be right. Illawarra and Canberra errors there. I think there's a few mistakes somewhere in the computer system this afternoon. I think the errors at the moment are somewhere around about 14-6.
Well, there's no doubt in which advantage. The Illawarra Steelers that have a really bad opening 10 minutes. They've got to get themselves organised, and it's up to their skipper, Perry Haddock. We just saw him in the sweeping role there, take that kick from Mal Meninga. But it's in the attacking situation. They seem to be disorganised out there. They've got to get themselves sorted out. They've got a 3-quarter and a forward, and then another 3-quarter, then another forward. They've got to get those big fellas out of the line and get the ball spinning out wide.
Well, Illawarra need points, and they need them fairly urgently to get some confidence back. And that's big Chris Walsh. Tackled down on the Canberra quarter line. Bolt sends the ball away towards Carberry, and Carberry's met by good defence. He's gone without the ball, and O'Sullivan comes up with it for Canberra. Well, they're just making too many mistakes at the moment, Illawarra. We've already said Chris Withal's knocked on 3 times inside his own quarter line, and there's their opportunity. 6 tackles to try and do something with it, and they've lost it. They're just handling the pressure a bit better at the moment, Canberra, and the heat.
They certainly are, David, but it just undermines their confidence when the team just keeps dropping the ball on the first and second tackles.
And there's another driving kick. End over end, it bounces down towards Larder. Larder's going to return the kick. And the ball is going to go straight down the throat of Gary Belcher, who takes it safely on the full. I don't think he'll kick it back. He's one of the best runners in the game, but he certainly wasn't given the same latitude that he was in England. Good tackle that from Withall. Now Worthington has it.
I just can't understand these tactics by the Steelers. They 4 times have kicked downfield, and on 3 occasions they've sent it right down the throat of Gary Belcher. He'll love this all day.
Well, that's Walters from dummy half. Carberry, the defender. Coming over the top, lending assistance in the end was Haddock. Taking it up this time, Coyne, just inside Illawarra's territory. 5th tackle registered against the Raiders. Back it goes to Meninga. Meninga again gets plenty of time to steady, puts the kick in. At least when he kicks it straight to the opposing fullback, it bounces to give his support a little bit more opportunity to get up and affect the tackle, as we saw O'Sullivan do that time.
Apart from that, David, it makes it very awkward. A bouncing ball can go anywhere. It's in the air, goes straight down the throat.
And now that's Chris Withall. And listen to the irony, the ironical cheers coming from the crowd. Must be a terrible feeling when you realise that that your own fans are cheering you rather derisively, as they were that time. Haddock kicking for touch over on that eastern touchline, and beautifully and magnificently kept in play by Belcher. That's the natural talent of this man. He's got all the gifts. Terry Fay, former Australian winger. And a fair bit of time in recent years out with a back injury, but he seems to have overcome that this year. And now we've seen Canberra make one of their rare mistakes in amongst the forwards today. They've knocked it on. Illawarra almost lost it. They managed to knock it backwards, says the referee, so they retain possession. And this is the 5'8" Hardy. It's about the first time he's touched the ball, I think.
Well, they haven't had possession for long, and the few occasions they have, they've either dropped it on the first or second tackle.
Upfielder's tackle, 6 metres inside his own half. Over towards the grandstand touchline, running it back the open side. There's Carney. I'm certain Hetherington hasn't seen the ball yet. He's standing out there like a shag on a rocket outside centre. As Larder tries the little chip and chase, he should get there first. Ferguson tackle without the ball. The referee says play on. The chase is on between Henjack and Hardy. Henjack from Canberra gets there first, as Hardy claims him in defence, only a metre or 2 out from the Canberra line.
That was great play by the 5'8" Henjack. You notice when he dropped onto the ball, he put his body in front of the player and shielded himself for the ball. If it had slipped out, it would have gone backwards. No chance of a knock-on. Great play by the little fella.
And now a Canberra player down injured. In fact, it looks like O'Sullivan from here. No, it's not. It's Walters. One of the 2 little men, or they've got 3 little men really out there, haven't they? Perry Haddock, Chris O'Sullivan, and there's hooker Steve Walters.
Well, there's a hooker, and he goes down pretty awkward there. And when you get 3 guys piling in like that, it certainly hurts.
This is the former Brisbane North hooker, Steve Walters. A lot of Queensland supporters, of course, these days following Canberra and Manly. In years gone by, it was just Manly who they supported, for so many people crossing the border to play with the Sea Eagles. But these days, there are so many ex-Queenslanders playing in the Canberra lineup.
They love coming over the border for the dollar, don't they?
And you don't blame them, but of course, with their new side in the competition next year, I think most of them will stay up there. And won't they have a mighty side?
That's the only way they'll get Wally south of the border.
The crowds will come to watch him then.
My word. So will I.
As the Canberra Raiders run it back towards the quarter line. Meninga has it. And look at that again. Seems to give himself all the time in the world to make that kick. They're coming up in 1s and 2s. Now, good linking up, sees Kelly get the ball back, and he's managed to go, well, really, McIndoe overran him in the end, but he possibly should have given it to him the first time, and this will be a penalty, not allowing him to play the ball. Well, the referee, this has been on 3 weeks now, we've seen this. Every referee has continually penalised any player not allowing the tackle player to get up and immediately play the ball. And again, we see, only has to be a little pull of the jumper or something like that, but that's all it needs.
Oh, another mistake there. Well, Illawarra are going through the horrors here. There's no doubt what's going to be happening at half-time, David. Brian Smith will really rip them apart.
With the ball going into this scrum, it should be a Canberra ball. We might get a chance to go down and see what's happening on the sidelines. Here's Ian Hansen.
can't believe how bad these Illawarra forwards are playing. They're just walking out there. It's unbelievable. They've got to up their tempo and make Mal Meninga play the ball.
They're going up in ones and twos, aren't they? They're giving him all the time in the world to step off either the left or the right boot and give himself plenty of room for the kicks. And here comes Big Mal down the centre of the ruck, taking a bit of pressure off the forwards, which they'll probably need in the second half a bit, with one man short, as O'Sullivan gets the pass away to Coyne. And Coyne is just inside Illawarra's territory, back towards the centre of the field. They'll come the short side away to Meninga. He's going to kick for touch, and there's the kick. And Kelly has come way up off his line. And Meninga, spotting this, said thank you very much, and slots the ball in behind Kelly, way from Larder, the fullback. And he's found touch only 10 metres out. Perfection.
Tremendous kick here, David. As you said, the wingman, as you can see, well up. And Meninga, all the time in the world and all the space in the world, pop it in the right place.
Well, we heard a few stories during the week that Wayne Bennett had told Mal that he have to lift his game. If that's happened, it's had the desired effect. He's having a blinder in the first half of this match.
Very constructive game indeed, David. And I think he's a type of guy, and Don Ferner on the tour mentioned this, you've got to keep on at him all the time. The players have got to keep him G'd up. But boy, if he can keep this up, and it spells danger for the Steelers.
So the Steelers with the ball. Again, it's Haddock who has to do so much of that work in close to the ruck. Whittle gets the ball back to the quarter line. With the exception of that clean break made by Carney, who has the ball now. I can't remember another one made by Illawarra in the first half. And Carney's ball is collected comfortably by Ferguson, who scored the second try. And got his pass away from Belcher, and Belcher's in a bit of open space here. Belcher coming down to the quarter line. He's got O'Sullivan in support. O'Sullivan for the line, throws the pass back on the inside to Jackson, and Jackson will score a super try. Oh, have a look at this again. Absolute class.
Tremendous play. Now you see 5 players went for one man. That's where the try came from. Belcher took the ball, stepped inside. The forward's just waiting for him. Look at the speed of this guy, the fullback. Perfect positioning by O'Sullivan. And over he goes. Take your pick, Fay or Jackson. Jackson says, give it to me. The banana boy goes in right underneath the post. Beautiful play by the wingman here. But 5 Illawarra. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you see me, now you don't. Put on the pace, through the forwards, out of the way, Kevin. The referee says I'll oblige. Now look at the positioning of the halfback here. Beautiful play by O'Sullivan. Draws the man, over it goes. You won't get them any better or any easier than that.
Well, we're about to see Mal Meninga have his third shot at goal for the afternoon. From right in front of the posts. Moves in. Has no troubles with the extras, and so Canberra lead Illawarra by 18 points to 0. And Ian Hansen, who's down on the sideline, I don't think you'll see many better tries than that. We talked about Schubert's try last week, but that one has to go down as a classic try, to coin a term, with sheer brilliance.
It certainly could be, with Mal Meninga and young Jackson. Could be. There it is. That's the try number 1, the third try for Canberra today, and Peter Jackson's first of the season.
And of course, Peter Jackson's first try in a Canberra jumper as far as competition prop is concerned. Now, Illawarra have made about 20 errors to Canberra's 8 during this first half, but they've dropped the ball 7 times, Steve-O. And of course, then you saw 5 of them sucked into to try and tackle one man, which created the gap, and Belcher just loves that sort of opportunity.
Well, the stupid thing about it was, David, the kick was very well executed. Carney had put it right down into the corner to put pressure on Ferguson. But all 5 of them came in and sheltered him round and left Belcher alone.
So here comes Canberra with the ball on tackle number 5, just out from their own quarter line. They tried to get a kick in a moment ago. Now they'll get the chance, and it's Belcher who belts the ball high in the air, straight down the throat of Larder, back on his own quarter line, and this is going to be a penalty. Now this one will be before, it's against O'Sullivan, and basically what it's for is that O'Sullivan was well in front of Belcher when he
had to play the ball.
He was, well, basically what happened was, as soon as the ball was played, O'Sullivan went herring off down the field even before Belcher got it. So he was almost to the position where Larder kicks for touch when Belcher actually kicked it.
Well, it's an unusual one. It's in the rule book. There's not many referees utilise it these days.
We have seen it a couple of times though this year, and it's one that I think should be applauded really, because sometimes a lot of players go screaming downfield, put pressure on, and they've really come from offside positions. Haddock taking the ball down the centre as the second rower this time, Worthington, and seems to have recovered from that early knock. 10 metres inside Canberra's territory. Well, they're desperate at the moment, the Steelers. They work at the blind side to upfield. Upfield, the little chip and chase. He's regathered. Pass comes back on the infield. Super try coming up to Steve Larder. Oh, that's a magnificent reply.
This is just what the doctor ordered. Good switch to the blind side. And you'll see here the lock forward, a beautiful little chip here. Now watch the inside flick pass. Uh-oh. And Larder come onto it like an express train, in for a beautiful try. That certainly lifts their spirits. I was just about to say that they have to keep the ball alive. Well, they certainly do it here. Good play by the lock, as I say. Now watch out for this little flick inside. He knows that Larder's there. Didn't have to look. Great football. And the fullback in for the Steelers' first try. And is this the road back? Who knows?
Well, I'll be cheering up in Darwin. That's where that boy comes from. Steve Larder's first try of the season, and it was a case of Paul Upfield going downfield for that one.
I don't know about cheering in Darwin. I think the Steelers here at Wollongong, the fans, they certainly needed that one, Hanso.
So here comes Dean Carney, the chance to add the extras, moves in, the kick is successful, and so they've registered 6 points, Illawarra. Canberra leading Illawarra by 18 points to 6. And just because Canberra had skipped away to lead by 18 points to 0, that didn't mean the game was dead and buried, because so often we've seen in matches, especially between Canberra and Illawarra, one side has skipped away to a huge lead and the other side has come back, and that was never more evident than the reserve grade today.
My word, David, Canberra really came back and nearly pulled it out of the fire in the reserve grade. And let's not forget that Canberra, they're down to 12 men, and the Steelers, they've got to get the ball out wide. That extra man, they can create that overlap, just keep the ball alive.
And there's a penalty, and again, not allowing the tackle player McIndoe to get up and play the ball. And he's hardly seen the ball yet, McIndoe, and he is certainly one of the best players in the game. The top try scorer for the Illawarra Steelers last year, and a man who must be pressing very strongly for a State of Origin berth this year. Of course, he won't be able to get one on today's form because he hasn't been able to show his wares.
Well, it's taken a while, David, for the Steelers to get themselves organised. And it took a bit of individual brilliance there by the lock forward to get them out of the mire.
And now here's Bolt coming down the centre of the ruck, up towards the halfway line. Got about 5 minutes left in the first half. Now the Steelers getting the ball out wide to Carberry. And Carberry's tackled there by Lance, and also up there affecting the tackle, Gilbert. Now Haddock running back across the side of the ruck. He's got in behind the defence. He slipped the ball back. It goes towards the big prop forward in Walsh. Walsh down to the quarter line. Beautifully tackled though by Belcher. But this is better play from Illawarra. Now they've sent it away. Carberry with it again. The step. Trying to straighten up and create the gap. He's got the ball away. Bolt finished up getting it away to Hardy. And Hardy's got within about 12 metres of the line. Upfield again. That's Perry Haddock. Haddock still going. Got the arms free. Couldn't offload on the inside. Larder into dummy half. No, he's decided to let Withall take that. Withall goes the short side. The pass comes out towards Carney. Carney's kick through, though, is too hard and too long. Play will restart with the tap from the centre of the quarter line.
Certainly better play by the Steelers. They're keeping the ball alive, and that's what they've got to do. Now, you'll see here how they keep the ball alive. A bad kick here to finish it off. Really was a wasted chance by Dean Carney. But he's the type of guy that they've got to utilise. I keep saying it, but Canberra, still only 12 men. The prop, Brent Todd, sent off. And I think, Hansel, that's the sort of thing they've got to keep this ball alive and try to tire the Canberra Raiders out.
Hello, you guys wouldn't have noticed it, but Dean Carney was screaming for that ball 3 times before he received it.
There's obviously the lack of communication still out there. It seems that way throughout the match, and maybe that's what we were talking about earlier, Michael. You were talking about at the beginning of the game. Greg Mackey might well be the man they'll miss this afternoon because he is one of their chief organisers.
Oh, my word, he was their star player last season, and he's the organiser. But it looks as though Haddock has lifted his game. He's trying to get things organised now. And, of course, with scoring that try, they're getting back into it. There's a lot more enthusiasm in the Steelers now.
And that's the kick from O'Sullivan, going very close to that touchline, but it's picked up there by Larder, and O'Sullivan follows his kick up and affects the tackle. Now McInday going from dummy half. And they didn't let him get too far that time, but the man has a lot of strength. And a very heavy tackle. Illawarra with the ball, only about 13 or 14 metres out from their own line. Chris Withall gets it. He almost lost it again. He's made good ground and he's got a lovely pass away. They're coming up towards the halfway line upfield. He couldn't get his pass back to McIndoe. It's loose, Stacks on the mill. Canberra will come up with it. Eventually it crosses the touchline. It'll be a penalty against Larder. He's obviously asked Dean Lance to play that ball, and then Larder has gone on with the tackle and dragged him across the touchline, and that's a penalty.
They keep doing it all the time here. Now this is once again a bad mistake. And we see, there he is. He could have had him for a voluntary tackle there, David. He never attempted to try to move on, but referee Roberts at called, and Larder pushing him over the touch. Penalty given.
Could have just about pinged Lance for a knock on then too. There was just a little one there.
They all count.
Canberra taking the ball back towards the Illawarra quarter line. Well, can they post a six-pointer right on half-time as Meninga runs across field trying to link up with Ferguson. Ferguson has it, comes back on the inside. He gains a good 6 or 7 metres. He's only about 12 metres out. They'll go back the other side this time, Canberra. O'Sullivan a shot at field goal. Is it sneaked over the bar or not? No.
Good thinking by the half-back there. You may as well take 1 point back with you if you can. It went pretty close, this. Not the best attempts, but shaded the, just shaved the upright.
Now, deep dropout taken by Illawarra that time, and look how easily Belcher is going to bring this ball all the way back to the halfway line.
That was sheer class, David. What a beautiful step.
And now a penalty against Illawarra, all up inside the 5. Well, after they gained a lot of territory with that kick, just a lovely little touch from Belcher and a penalty. And now Canberra are going to put the pressure right back on the Illawarra Steelers. Right on half-time, this is surely danger time for Illawarra. Has taken it up as Gilbert, and he gets to within about 3 or 4 metres of that quarter line. He's over on the touchline. There's the penalties at this stage, 7 apiece. Bacco's knocked that ball on, just a little one, and that'll take the pressure off Illawarra. We're right on half-time here. Must only be seconds left in the first half. At this stage, Canberra leading Illawarra by 18 points to 6. Haddock will put the ball in. It's come out the Steelers' way, and Hardy, he's got away from one. Can't get away from the next line, though. Wouldn't they like to try and get some 4 points right on half-time as Belcher again gathers that ball beautifully after the kick through from Carney. Belcher going to go close. Back on the inside comes Jackson. He's knocked it into the hands of another Illawarra player. Otherwise it could have been another 4-pointer to Canberra. And what an incredible game Belcher's had in the first half.
Certainly has, David, and what an incredible game by Canberra. They really have put it together. They're keeping the ball alive. Illawarra, there's no doubt about it. Their coach, Brian Smith, will have plenty to say at the half-time break. Far too many mistakes. They really have got to get themselves organised. But at 18-6, I'm sure Canberra, both the coaches, Ferner and Wayne Bennett, will be very, very pleased with it. A lead of 12 points at the half-time break. But I really think that Canberra should have this game in the fire. It's going to take a big effort by the Steelers in the second half.
So at half-time, Canberra leading Illawarra by 18 points to 6. We'll be back after the half-time break, but let's go back to Peter Wilkins in the studio.
Tackles, they've got to settle down into it. They've made too many mistakes. I think that Illawarra, they 16 missed tackles, so the defence is down, and of course they dropped the ball on 9 occasions. You can't afford to do that in professional rugby league. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall with Smithy down there. I think he would have given them heaps.
Well,
they deserved it.
Well, let's go down and find out what was said in the dressing room, and here's Ian Hansen.
Well, you guys are absolutely spot on. Bob Millwood, the Illawarra secretary, just told me that Brian Smith was absolutely disgusted with that first half performance from Illawarra. He said it was the worst defensive effort ever in his history of coaching this team. And he said if things don't change very smartly, then there will be changes early in the second half. In the Canberra room, I spoke to Don Ferner, and Don Ferner said these guys are now determined to make up for the loss of Brent Todd. He said, don't change a thing, just keep playing the way you're going, and there has been a commitment from those 12 players to get out there and hold this Illawarra team and take back the 2 points and maintain their spot on the top of the table.
Ian Hansen down there on the sidelines, and there's a good kick from Mal Meninga, and even the luck's running his way, and Larder, did he touch it or not? That was touch and go. That was a marvellous kick from Mal Meninga. Look at this.
This is a real big boot. Look at him take that right kick. And whoa, roly-poly. Dearie me. Lawn bowls. Well, did he or didn't he? Well, we'll see who puts the ball in. Well, he's deemed it that he didn't touch it. Illawarra got the feed.
Well, the touch judge had no doubts who touched it or who didn't touch it, but what a kick it was from Meninga. And when things are running right, aren't things running right? There was no way in the world that ball had any right to do what it did, but it made Larder look an absolute fool. And now they have to do all the hard work, the Steelers, and that's McIndoe who's tackled, about 12 metres out from his own line. Now taking it up as Hetherington. I dare say he's been told to get a lot more involved in this second half, try and inject himself, because he didn't have to do too much work in the first stanza, although he was stood up a few times in defence.
They never really got settled down into any pattern at all. They had no game plan at all, David, and I'm sure that Smithy would have said to him, let's settle it down for the first 5 minutes, let's get a feel of the game, and then start building from there. All right, 12 points is a lot to pull back. The rugby league's a funny game, David. We've seen over the years how teams can just bounce again. And repeating the fact that the Raiders, 12 men, with their New Zealand prop Brent Todd being sent off in the first half.
And the amazing thing and the astonishing thing is that these two sides between them have put up some astonishing matches in their short time in the competition, of one team coming from a long way behind to force the other, or to force the match to go down to the wire. So often we've seen one side open up a big lead and the other one come back. Henjak going the blind side. He's trying that little chip and chase. It bounces, and does it cross the touchline? No, it goes over on the full.
Well, the sort of tactics that the Raiders have to do. They've got to keep turning the Steelers back, and this is the sort of kick, although it wasn't successful this time. That's the type of tactics that they need. Play right down into the Steelers' half. When you have a lead of 12 points, it's important to get that ball right down the field.
So a route to put. There's Illawarra. Ball goes in, and now they've got another chance through Larder, and Larder's gapped them. He's up over the halfway. Ferguson coming across. Ferguson won't stop him. The ball comes off Ferguson, and Ferguson's got the ball. Well, the attempted pass was coming back on the inside for Kelly, who was backing up, and alas for Larder, the cupboard was bare.
Certainly was, David. There was no bones about it, because Larder really should have kept hold of this ball. The pass was never on. Now, that was good play, good step. Look at the speed of the guy. He really put it on. But this is the point where he should never have tried. Henjak did the right thing. He put himself between the supporting player. He should have kept hold of it.
And now Meninga's made big inroads. That's a beautiful ball away to Belcher. Belcher's pass finds Ferguson. A good juggling act. He's going to keep the ball alive. He doesn't have to. Oh, this is vintage Chicker. And they're in again, the Raiders. He showed more class than Popoff the Clown that time, the way he juggled that ball, but again, it was Meninga who caused all of the early thrust and the perfect ball to Belcher, who timed his pass to perfection, and Ferguson did the rest.
Sheer class, sheer quality, but it's a beautiful ball here that sets Meninga through. Jackson puts him through the gap. The strength does all the rest. On to Belcher. That's beautiful linking from the full-back. Not the best of passes. Juggle it, turn it inside out. Now then, this is where the babies start coming in. One dummy, and oops, now you see me, now you don't. And Steve Larder, the hero just seconds before, making that great break, made a poor attempt.
John Ferguson, second try of the year and second try of the match, and good to see Chicker back in his absolute top test team form.
So Meninga now with the chance to add the extras from almost in front, and that might be just about curtains for Illawarra, Steve-O. 22 points to 6. If Illawarra had been able to score first in the second half, well, they had a big chance to come back, but here's Meninga's kick, and it looks pretty good, and it's 2 more points, so he's got 4 out of 4, Big Mal, today. He's had a blinder to boot, both in general play with his kicking and magnificent running. He's been very much involved in setting up 2 of Canberra's tries. It's 24 points to 6.
Well, I think you're right, David. It's really has shut the gate situation now. I think the horse is well and truly bolted. 24 points to 6. And it just goes to show how funny rugby league can be. Only seconds before we saw the fullback Larder make that 60-metre break. What should have been a try to the Steelers turned out eventually to be a try to the Raiders.
So there's the restart, and Gary Belcher brings the ball back across the quarter line. Tackled by Bolt, and also up there again was Worthington. Fay going from dummy half, almost loses his jumper. He's still going. Very strong man, Terry Fay. As I said in the first half, we haven't seen much of McIndoe. We haven't seen a great deal of Terry Fay either, really. The ball just hasn't come to their sides of the field. We've seen a lot of John Ferguson. We did see Kelly a couple of times.
Well, it's like a bit of the building trade, David. If you can't build a house if you haven't got the bricks. And Illawarra, well, they haven't had any bricks delivered today. Poor performance.
Here's Meninga again. This time it's a chip and chase situation. He's towed the ball through again, and Fay will get the ball back, and he tried to soccer it again. Didn't make contact, but it came off Meninga last anyway, and so Illawarra will be the ones who feed the ball into the scrum.
Well, this is real strength from the big fella. Good kick. Now, he's going to take no prisoners here, Meninga. Now, this is the reason why Terry Fay doesn't play soccer and plays rugby league.
So Illawarra with the ball.
Les Ferner, he should be quite pleased with himself. He's looking a little bit smug there, David, and why not? His side leading, 24 points to 6, I think you can safely say. He's going to go back on that long road, drive back to the capital city with 2 valuable Winfield points.
Someone said maybe that their best buy in the off-season could well finish up being Wayne Bennett. I think he'd be very happy today that it's the South Brisbane connection who've also performed miracles out in the backs. Belcher, Jackson, Meninga, and they've had a bit of assistance from Ferguson as well. And now we see Illawarra with a chance. Larder, but the referee's going to pull it back for the forward pass.
Well, Lady Luck certainly isn't shining upon them, but they don't deserve much luck, the Steelers. It really has been a bad scene. Now you'll see the ball. It's a beautiful ball here from Haddock. This is what they need to get the ball out wide. Now Worthington did the right thing, but a long pass out there and just slightly forward.
So Illawarra, I should say Canberra, come up with the ball. That's Henjack with it now. O'Sullivan taking it up is Terry Fay back towards the halfway line. Walters. And that's a second rower, Ashley Gilbert, just inside Illawarra's territory, back towards the centre of the field. I'll come this side as they do. Belcher. Belcher throws the dummy on his own again. He's got the pass away to Jackson. Jackson's pass found Henjack. Henjack, tried to get back on the outside to set up Fay, couldn't do so. They'll swing it back the open side. That's Walters, goes on his own. Tried to do that little pirouette and dummy. He's lost the ball and knock on.
A little bit over enthusiastic again. I think they've been a little bit too over adventurous as well, Canberra. You can't blame them though, David. 24 points to 6 lead. But I've been very impressed by their attitude and the way that they've kept this ball alive. They're going to give their fans plenty to shout about this year. There we see Hetherington taking the ball up. Hasn't been seen much today. In fact, there hasn't been many star players, if any, on the Illawarra side. It's been one continuous mistake after mistake. Well, Roberts shouting at the Canberra side, and really there's a lot of the Raiders side offside. They've been creeping up all the game. But if you can get away with it, and here's a chance now. There's Hetherington racing it through, one of the very few breaks. Back inside now, Worthington making the break, and once again, that vital pass has gone astray. No, Roberts said he was interfered with, and that's a good ruling by the referee. Just caught a glimpse of that. Now we see this is a good run by Worthington, back inside to the wingman. And Kelly gets it back inside there, and he was interfered. You just see it out of the play there. O'Sullivan did take Worthington out of the play. Good referee by Roberts.
they've found it, so they've got to try and put the pressure on from only a few metres out. And now taking it down the centre, Illawarra get within about 4 metres of that Canberra line. They need some points quickly. Haddock holds the pass up. That's Hetherington. Hetherington can't get through that Canberra defence. He's 9 metres away. Carney into dummy half. Carney goes on his own, down the blind side. He gets within about 5 metres. Upfield holds the pass up for Worthington and he'll score! Worthington is in, and so the Illawarra Steelers have hit back. That's probably the softest try of the day, but the most important one so far for Illawarra.
Well, that'll certainly confuse the footy tap punters there. 24 points to 10, kick to come right in front. Just beautiful play. A good play by the lock forward, switches the ball inside, and there you see Worthington going in for a well-deserved try. Things haven't gone their way. Notice a little flick, and this for once, the Canberra defence was stretched. The hooker went the wrong way and realised too late.
Steve Worthington's first try of the season, and it's good to see him come alive in the second half.
So Steve Worthington, that's probably the best description too, come alive, because it certainly looked as if he suffered a bad knock during the first half, and he was just brushed aside like a leaf when Bacco went through to score the first try for Canberra. He's a local junior from down here, and he's played over 40 first grade games for the Illawarra Steelers. But interesting to note, I'll get back to that in just a second, as Carney is about to move in, and he should convert the try, which he does, and so there's only 12 points in it again. Canberra leading Illawarra by 24 points to 12. And the point I was about to make is that 2 inside passes from the very talented lock forward Paul Upfield have been the final passes for Illawarra's 2 tries.
Yes, good play, and if there is any star on the Illawarra side, I suppose you'd have to point to the lock forward Upfield. He at least is trying things. But once again, David, it's been left up to individuality rather than teamwork.
He's a very gifted footballer, Paul Upfield, and it's Jeff Hardy, the 5'8", who brings the ball out. Took that well and confidently in the in-goal area. They've got to go on with it now, Illawarra. Getting the ball out wide now is McIndoe. He's coming off the wing looking for a bit of work to do. I noticed Hetherington was out on the wing during that movement. McIndoe's got the ball back. He's offloaded it to Larder. Larder will have Hetherington on the inside in support. That's Hetherington. He just couldn't quite get the quick pass back to McIndoe. McIndoe's got it now. But that movement just broke down and then he's lost the ball. Well, as you said before, Lady Luck just not smiling on the Illawarra Steelers. Good football, good linking up the blind side that time. And have a look at this again.
Certainly good play, and there we see the baller get out wide. Now, good run by Larder. It's very, very strong and got the ball back inside. Now, Hetherington did well here. He's not held down, gets himself and keeps the ball alive, but to no avail. The poor wingman, McIndoe, finally loses the ball, looking for the pass, really when he should have held on.
Actually, if Larder could have used quick hands back to Hetherington onto McIndoe when they first crossed the halfway line, it could have been very interesting, but they just slightly overran the pass. Let's go down to the sideline and see what it looked from right in front of Ian Hansen.
Tremendous, David. It was really was a fantastic tackle from Ashley Gilbert, and the expression on that man's face when he was chasing Larder downfield showed the commitment that this Canberra team's got.
Well, now we see a penalty go against O'Sullivan for an incorrect feed.
Couldn't agree with you more, Hansel, there. I really feel that the introduction of Wayne Bennett come down as assistant coach to Ferner has really helped them. I've never seen a Canberra side look so as enthusiastic, and in fact, I've never really seen a side from Canberra that's kept the ball alive as well.
And Gilbert's one of the new faces in this team this week too. They dropped Regan and also one of the other players, and he's got a holy spot in this team. He's doing the right thing to do it.
So Chris Walsh now with the ball for Illawarra, and they've got a chance to get right back into this game as Whitall goes the blind side. Whitall still going. He's only about 6 or 7 metres out. That's the try line you can see there where Kevin Roberts, the referee, is standing. Worthington, pass goes to McIndoe. It's gone loose. It's gathered up by Upfield, and Upfield, the lock forward, is within about 7 or 8 metres of the line. Going from dummy half. Worthington looking for his second. He's going to be held up. Well, he got over the line, but of course he had 5 Raiders there preventing him from getting the ball down.
This was good play by Worthington. Took the dummy half and took it on the blind side, but good play by the hooker. Now watch, you'll see Walters diving for the ball. There's no way in the world Worthington was going to get that ball down.
It was Gary Coyne who did some magnificent work initially, the second rower. He was the one that did the ball and all work, and Walters over the top. And now Illawarra, after they've lost the scrum, have given a penalty away. Again, a silly penalty for affecting a second tackle. And Meninga will certainly take his time and tell the Canberra Raiders to settle down. He'll kick for touch. Now a replacement coming to the sideline for the Steelers. It may be Graham Bradley. I think that Ian Hansen will certainly be able to qualify that. I'm certain it's Graham Bradley. Let's go down and find out from Ian Hansen.
Certainly is Graham Bradley, and I believe it's Steve Worthington, the try scorer, who eventually succumbed to that knock in the first half. He's been replaced.
Well, he's been in the wars as Worthington. He's certainly lifted his game in the second half. But, he'll be disappointed to leave the field. It's obviously injury to the shoulder, I feel.
O'Sullivan kicking for touch, and that's pinpoint accuracy. He'll find it only 17 metres away from the line.
I said earlier, David, that's the type of tactics that the Raiders have to use. Of course, they were leading to that point. There you see, giving himself plenty of time, and there's the open spaces. Wingman failing to drop back. Just a lacking concentration once again by the Steelers.
Into that scrum, and they've won one against the head. And O'Sullivan gets it away the open side. Henjak, the belcher up on the line. Jackson, he thought about throwing the pass, a little pirouette. He's been overrun initially by Meninga. He's only 10 metres away. The ball's gone from O'Sullivan out to Belcher again. Belcher back on the inside comes Lance, and Lance has got within about 7 or 8 metres of the line. This is Canberra's chance to seal the match. The ball goes away again towards Jackson. Jackson's got his pass away there, but it's knee knocked on. Illawarra have got the ball. And Haddock has it only 8 metres away. They live again, the Steelers. Out wide, the ball comes to McIndoe. McIndoe trying to get away. Slipped his pass to Withall. Chris Withall, good run from the prop forward. Up over the quarter line. And McIndoe is down in some pain, only about 10 metres out from his own line. I think he's certainly injured over there. He's in agony.
Yes, he twisted badly when Fay tackled him, and I hope it's not the knee. He's in a lot of pain. The Steelers rushing out a substitute straight away.
Yes, and you can see that there's someone, they're going to take him straight off. Certainly, what bad luck for McIndoe. Gee, I hope it's not serious, because if ever there's a young man that deserves an Aussie jersey or a chance to wear one, it's this fellow.
In a lot of pain, David.
It looks to be a knee injury, Alan McIndoe, but the Raiders are on the attack here. O'Sullivan back in amongst the forwards. He slipped it away to Ferguson, and Ferguson, very wiry and very strong. They're only 18 metres away here, the Raiders, as Walters sends it away again to O'Sullivan. Now taking it up is the prop forward, and getting within about 12 metres of the line there is Backo. I'll send it back the open side. O'Sullivan has another shot at field goal, and that one again has gone through the post. Another one for O'Sullivan. So it's 25 points to 12, and that might be just enough. That 13 points buffer zone, that means they have to score 3 times Illawarra, and that might seal their fate.
Good thinking by the halfback. Took his opportunity well. 25-12, that out point. Not only bring a smile to the Canberra Raiders, but I'm sure there's a few footy tap punters out there. Certainly gone for that odd point. When you've got a guy like that at the halfback, Chris O'Sullivan, he's always there to spot it over. Beautiful position. This time connects straight between the dot.
And there's the restart from D. Carney. Owen Saunders was the replacement who came on for Alan McIndoe. I think that also Canberra might have made a replacement. Just trying to work out whether they have or not. I'm certain someone left the field. I'm just wondering whether Ian Hansen, you could work out whether someone did go on the field. I'm certain while that field goal was going on, a couple of people went on and a couple came off.
Yes, Coach Don Ferner didn't waste any time today. He's just put Craig Bellamy on the field for Ashley Gilbert.
So Craig Bellamy for Ashley Gilbert on there for the Canberra Raiders. He certainly played a lot of football at 5'8", but this year he switched to the forwards, and there's the kick from Meninga, and this is another gem. Look at this. The man can do no wrong today. Big Mal, he has had an absolute blinder. Look at this.
Certainly has, David. And here you see again, no pressure at all. Beautiful right boot, plenty of weight, and right into the open spaces. They've been caught quite a lot today of the Illawarra defence. Not getting back deep enough quick.
So Illawarra with the ball. They're down on their own line again. And that's been one of the major differences between the two teams this afternoon. Not just the error counts, but the fact that the pinpoint accuracy and the long distance gained by Meninga's kicks as against the Illawarra kicking game.
That's what coaching's all about, David. Play to your strengths, the tactics, it's all that counts. Illawarra didn't have any in the first half. Canberra did. That's the reason why they're leading, 25 points to 12.
I dare say they had the tactics, the players didn't carry them out. Here comes Withall. They're just going one out at the moment. You can even hear some of the spectators in the background from the Steelers camp getting very frustrated with their side's performance. Last tackle and they've lost the ball, and Jackson's got it for Canberra, and so the Raiders are on the attack again. They're only about 17 metres out. Ferguson with the ball. Ferguson, he's evaded one. He's got within 11 metres. What a mighty footballer he's been over the years, John Ferguson. He's down injured too. He's injured his right knee, I think. I remember John Ferguson the first time I ever saw him, actually. Mike was playing for Glen Innes against South Grafton at McKittrick Park one afternoon, and I've never seen so many people roll up in a country town just to watch a trial game.
Good spot as well, Glen Innes.
Well, it was a Grafton, this one.
I didn't realise you were that old, David.
Well,
must be a few years ago. Here you see, this is how he's run straight into the big fella, Chris Walsh and Withall. And with Withall coming down on top of you, I'm not surprised he's caught an injury there. He's a big guy.
I think he might want... Well, they're going to replace him. You can see John actually virtually saying, bring the stretcher out there.
Well, that's always a sad sight to see in any sport.
Well, at this stage, leading by 13 points, I suppose the thing that they want is the fact that the stretcher's sitting right in front of them. They're trying to work out where it is, and thank God someone's got some foresight down there. And Steve Hansen, certainly tragic for John Ferguson, but it might just be a precaution with that 13-point lead.
Well, it's certainly very rare to see John Ferguson go down injured at all, and I don't think he'd go down if it wasn't pretty serious. They're getting ready to put Paul Young on the field, and he's an exciting prospect, a local junior. I'm sure he'll do a top job.
Yes, I'm sure about that, Hanso. There's a lot of raps down from Canberra on this young kid. This is a big chance for him to show his wares. Still got 12 minutes of the game remaining, and he'll be eager to get out there.
Well, let's hope this injury to John Ferguson isn't serious. When he first went down, it didn't look all that bad, Mike, but obviously when the trainer got out there, he seemed fairly intent on coming off. So if it is a twisted knee or something, you're better off coming off and ensuring that you get the ice onto it immediately, or the treatment starting. Often injuries are aggravated because they go on with it. The scrum going down, the referee wants it to go in again. It's 10 metres out from the Illawarra line. As they go in the blind side is O'Sullivan, after Fay came as the decoy on the open side, but he didn't fool the defence. It was good football from Haddock, and he smiles at Chris O'Sullivan and gives him a little affectionate tap on the head, as if to say, you might have fooled me once in your career before, but not today.
Well, he's certainly ready. Well,
here's Backo, and look at the big man going again. He almost repeated his first half success. He's got within a couple of metres. Canberra with a chance out wide again. O'Sullivan on the ball, goes out towards Coyne, and Meninga's gone without it, but it's a penalty. Passing off the ground, says the referee. So
well, no doubt about it there, David. But good play by Coyne. You'll see the ball come through. Now, this is how they kept the ball alive. A beautiful pass here. And Coyne, well, yes, he's grounded. And the big fella Mal had the eyes open wide. He thought another 4-pointer was coming his way.
So Young is on the field now for Canberra, wearing 15. So the battle that we expected at one stage, Steve, between Fay and Macindoe never really eventuated. And both players, sadly, have now left the field. In fact, Fay isn't Fay still out there, of course. I apologise for that. I think they've just switched wings at the moment as Withall gets the ball out wide, and that long pass well handled by Larder. Larder comes at Young, and his first chance in first grade to effect some defence. He tackles the fullback just inside Canberra's territory. Saunders, that's upfield. And upfield, well, it was hitting in the road there of Backo, who was wandering back onside. Just inside Canberra's territory. Haddock, now that's Hardy. Hetherington up over the halfway. What beautiful defence. Right round the bootlaces, Gary Coyne. That's the last tackle as Carney puts that ball high in the air. It's coming down on the quarter line. I won't even get that far. taking the ball then was another one of the youngsters who's on the field out there. I think it was Craig Bellamy who might have been coming through onto that one. And now taking the ball back for the Canberra Raiders is Belcher.
Fullback Gary Belcher certainly having a top game, David. He just has the knack of linking through at the right time. Comes through like an express train. Got plenty of skills. Good step. And he's certainly caused a lot of problems.
So here's another replacement coming on now for Canberra. And now the ball out wide from Jackson. He got that ball away, and look at the magnificent positioning of Belcher away. It goes to O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan for the post, throws the ball back towards the youngster, and Young will score. Paul Young has scored the try.
Well, not a bad opening gambit for this young kid. He did a little bit of a juggling act. Bit of nerves. He realised that all he had to do was catch the ball and score the try. This really was good play again by the Raiders. They've really impressed me, David. They've kept the ball out wide in a beautiful pass, unseen from Jackson. And as I was mentioning, he's got tremendous time in this fullback. And as ever, O'Sullivan in support. He took away the defence, and the youngster said, oh. You'll remember that one. Beautiful ball. There you see Jackson. You realise that Belcher was coming through. That's having confidence in your players. Beautiful play. O'Sullivan on hand. Notice how he takes away. He pulls the defence to him. There you see the Steelers. No one at home. The youngster says, juggle, but I'll remember that.
Believe it or not, that boy was discovered in the park last year, halfway through the season, and it's his first ever try in first grade.
Well, he scored that good try after effecting a good tackle just a few moments ago, so he'll remember this. Meninga with a chance to make it 5 out of 5, but he's missed one. So the score, 29 points to 12 in favour of Canberra. I think we just saw another player come onto the field. I think Trevor Kissel might have gone onto the field now for Illawarra as well. So I think they're bringing the changes both sides now. And there's the restart again. And Canberra run it back, and that's Grant Ellis, who's tackled a few metres out from his own quarter line. Bellamy got his pass away out towards Young. Almost a new side there. And Young might have injured himself now too. We might get a chance to go through some of these changes on the field. I think that Ian Hansen's been trying to keep up with them rather feverishly down on the sideline because so many of them happened all at once. So we might just go through a couple of those made during that last try-scoring movement. Ian.
Thanks, David. There could be some more changes coming up too. Young Paul Young, I can just see him over there now. He's getting attention on a crook elbow, and he might be the next one to come off. At the moment, we've got Craig Bellamy on the field for Ashley Gilbert, and there could be another change coming up here soon.
He's down injured at the moment with an elbow injury. He went on the field. He had a lot of strapping on that elbow.
Well, it's been an eventful 5 minutes for this youngster. Pulled off a very, very good tackle. Scored his first try in first grade. And there he is receiving attention.
I notice Grant Ellis was on the field. He's replaced Dean Lance, who's sitting at the moment next to Don Ferner. And they're pointing a few things out on the field, but I dare say both of them would be fairly enthused with this afternoon's performance. And believe me, Dean Lance is one of the real unsung heroes in this Canberra lineup. He is very highly respected. And Bacco, the big man, gets it back to the halfway line. He'll certainly bring a smile to Don Ferner's face. He's a real fan of Sam Bacco. Now Meninga. Meninga with the ball, he decides to run and then kicks it for the eastern touchline. And going back and taking that ball beautifully is Kelly. And Kelly will be tackled only about 12 metres out from the Canberra line. And so Paul Young has come from the field. And that left elbow injury is what he's had to succumb to. And there he is, as you can see, that heavy strapping. But he'll certainly remember this afternoon for the good tackle that he effected, and more importantly, for the first ever try that he scored in first grade. And out there replacing him this time is Matthew Corkery, who has had a bit of first grade experience. Illawarra with the ball. Only a few metres out from their own line, though. This game's dead and buried as far as they're concerned. It's been a great performance from Canberra. 29 points to 12.
Certainly has been a good performance, David. I've been very impressed with the Canberra side, the way that they've had the ball linked out wide
And this Queensland connection really has fired today.
And here's Withall running back on the inside. He finds the hooker in Bolt and they're getting the ball back towards the halfway line. One of the more promising moves from Illawarra this afternoon as Kissel tries to bust them up. He's managed to get the good pass away to Haddock, who's got back to the halfway line. So look at that. There's one of the major reasons why Canberra are so far in front this afternoon. Illawarra just made too many mistakes. And most of those have been drop balls and missed tackles. And there, look at that. Well, I don't think the error count really has to tell you any more than that one little bit of play there. The heat might be getting the players. Chris Walsh there gets a bit of a rub from Michael Bolt. It would be very hot for the bigger men. It's even hotter. Well, you seem to feel the heat more, Steve, when you're behind.
You certainly do, and you start getting a little bit tired. But I think their coach, Brian Smith, will put through them this tape all next week. They'll be crucified in training.
That ball has finished up coming out as a tight head to Illawarra, and Larder has it. Hasn't he had a good game? He's chipped it ahead. Belcher was up on the line. Fay will get back there first. Fay's gathered the ball for Canberra. And that was certainly good football to watch, because Larder realised that Belcher was up on the defensive line and nobody was at home, but how quickly Belcher and also Fay recovered.
For once in a while, the Steelers using a little bit of common sense, a bit of skill. A good kick. He's had a good second half as Larder. But there you see once again, perfect execution by the wingman Fay, putting his body before the ball and the oncoming player.
And look at that good pass from Jackson out to Fay. And Fay's tackled midway half and quarter line inside Canberra's territory. 29 points to 12 in favour of Canberra. It's certainly been a comprehensive performance, especially by their backs. Most people have rated it the equal to any backline in the competition. The way they've played this afternoon, Steve-O, I don't think anyone will change their mind.
Well, I certainly wouldn't. I've been very impressed with them, and I think everyone watching this, every professional footballer will be saying it's not going to be easy against Don Ferner and Wayne Bennett's boys this year.
And Larder has the ball a few metres out from his own line after another huge kick from Mal Meninga. Kelly going from dummy half.
Wasn't that a great tackle by Coyne? Shook the marbles up at the full-back there. Dearie me.
Running the ball out wide is Hardy. And he can't offload the ball. And back to the drawing board for Brian Smith and the Steelers after this one. And Canberra, well, they're just going from strength to strength. They remain on top of the table. And my word, we're going to see some great football from the Raiders this year. And the attempted intercept didn't come off there. In the end, we're going to see a scrum pack down. Not very long left in the match.
I don't know about going back to the drawing board, David. It's going to have to be a pretty big board to get everything right. There's a long ball here. They haven't had a great deal of luck, but it wasn't nearly an intercept there by Meninga.
Well, it's amazing, really. This defeat would be one of the biggest that Illawarra has suffered probably in the last season or so. Last year they finished up with the 5th best defensive record despite finishing with the wooden spoon. So I think this would be one loss that certainly Brian Smith will love to remember.
Well, they were very good on defence last season, David, and they were most impressive. In fact, I think only Canterbury beat them by 20 points to 2 or something like that last season, and that was their heaviest defeat. So it'll smart today, 29-12 with about 7 minutes remaining.
Well, the Canberra Raiders next weekend have a Saturday night game because they've got the Black Opal on there tomorrow week, so a big weekend of sport next week in Canberra. Canberra take on North Sydney at Seaford, so that'll be a great game down there on Saturday night. And Illawarra have the bye next weekend, so Brian Smith at least has a fortnight to try and work out what the problem is with the Illawarra side after their performance this afternoon. That's Saunders who's got the ball. And we're going to see a handover. Let's cross down to the sideline. Here's Ian Hansen.
Not forgetting, David, that Wednesday night the Steelers are going to stack up against the Premiers Parramatta in the National Panasonic Cup, and you can bet your bottom dollar there'll be changes in that team. Alan McIndoe won't be playing. He's got torn ankle ligaments, and also you can bet you be sure that 3 or 4 forwards will get the chop too.
The interesting thing too, Ian, of course, in the last few years, as we see Belcher make another big run, is that in recent years, those two teams, Illawarra and Parramatta, have clashed in the Midweek Cup, the National Panasonic Cup, and Illawarra have really given Parramatta a hard time of it.
I'll be very surprised what happens this week.
Yes, I think you're right there, Ian. On this performance, they're going to have to lift their game for Wednesday night.
So now running it out wide, Canberra trying to move it quickly through Jackson. He's got that ball away, making the ground as Corkery. He's one-handed back inside, is taken by Chris Walsh, and Illawarra have the ball. Tomorrow, ABC radio match will feature the game from Leichhardt Oval, South Sydney versus Balmain. What a great game that should be. And I suppose some people will be expecting some fireworks as Benny Elias goes in against Mario Fennick yet again. These two almost seem to have a running feud, but tomorrow I wouldn't mind betting that you won't see much of a feud between the two of them all. Both teams very much intent on playing good football tomorrow, and that's the big match on ABC radio.
I think there'll be more words said than punches thrown.
Oh, I don't think there'll be too many punches thrown, especially the way the judiciary is. You don't blame them. Now Illawarra with the ball, as the ball comes out the short side towards Chris Withall. Sends it back towards Kissel. He's got to pass away. That's Larder. A long ball finds Hetherington out wide. Hetherington trying to get round Jackson. He's done pretty well. He's coming back on the inside. He's evaded him in the end, but he trips over as he tried to do too much. And little Ivan Henjak affected the tackle. I'll swing it back the open side. That's Haddock who's got it away to Hardy. Hardy trying to make inroads down the centre of the field. Tackle number 5 against the Illawarra Steelers. Kissel comes in one way, then the ball goes the other. Upfield's left-booted kick is going to find touch, or will it? No, Corkery gets back to field the ball. Corkery will run it back towards the quarter line. There's not long left in the match. The clock stopped on the 5-minute mark. The Canberra Raiders are going to remain undefeated at the top of the competition table. And of course, they'll be looking forward to perhaps North Sydney and South Sydney victories tomorrow so that they can be there on their own.
My word, David, they've played exceptionally well. I've been very impressed with them. They've got a good balance now out there. And I think the introduction of Bennett this year has brought that little bit of spark that they've often lacked. They play with a lot of enthusiasm, but they know what's happening out there. It's not a haphazard effect.
So another error, and now we'll just go through, of course, those earlier scores today, and where play was all Illawarra's way. Illawarra won the under-23s very convincingly, 14 points to 4, and in reserve grade, after one stage they'd led by 30-1, they ran out victors 36-23 after Canberra had got back into the game within 7 points at one stage, and that was a marvellous game of football. Now Illawarra with a chance to try and add some late points. Kissel the run round with Haddock. The ball goes back towards Hardy, who's in the centres at this stage. Kissel goes the blind side. He's going to try and link up with Bradley, which he does. Bradley coming down to the quarter line. He's got to pass away. Coming back on the inside is Saunders, and Saunders will score. A belated effort, but Illawarra are in for another 4-pointer.
And well deserved, David. They threw the ball out wide. Remember, Canberra, they realise this game is all over. With full credit to the Steelers, at least they're keeping the ball out wide. This is one of the few occasions where they created something. Good run from the dummy half position. Then the ball goes out wide. And a beautiful dummy. It looked as though he was going to come inside. And there we see Bellamy and Owen Saunders going in for a well-deserved try. Consolation here. But this is one of the few. Now we see Kessel go across. A beautiful long ball. And Bradley, watch Bradley. He does well here. Looks as though the ball is going to go inside. Slips it out. Good play by the winger. And Saunders scoots away, not a person in front of him, and a good consolation try.
Owen Saunders, tremendous try. He was one of the players who sparked the comeback for the Steelers in reserve grade, but it's a bit too late today.
And there's the attempted conversion from Larder, and it doesn't really even reach the goalpost. He really did muff that. And so the score, 29 points to 16. So at the moment, the margin just 13 points again. Really, Illawarra have never been in it from the time they were down 12-0.
Well, on today's performance, David, I think the odds will shorten a lot on the Canberra Raiders. A lot of people thought that their first up win was a bit of a fluke. Of course, they collected the bonus bye points last week. So here they are, sitting pretty, right at the top of the Winfield Premiership. And who would have thought it?
So Saunders, the try scorer, bring it back to the quarter line.
Well, there's been some beautiful performances, David, by the Canberra Raiders. None better than Mal Meninga, the big fella in the centre. Been impressed with Jackson. And, of course, Fay and Ferguson, they've done their bit. But Gary Belcher really has shone out today. Good in defence, although he hasn't been put under much pressure by the Steelers today. But his linking qualities has been superb. In the forwards, well, on better than Ashley Gilbert while he was on there, and Sam Bacco bounced right back to prominence today. Of course, Brent Todd, he was sent off midway through the first half, so he'll remember this game, as will the judiciary on Monday.
Thought the little hooker went all right. Now there's little chip and chase, the ball bouncing around, and look at that. Belcher has got the ball back for the Raiders. The ball movement continuing. It's out wide with Meninga. Big Mal busting them up, trying to get to the line on his own. And he's got within about 10 metres of the line. It's Henjak keeping it going. That's Bellamy. And Bellamy's got to within about 7 or 8 metres. Meninga in the dummy half. That's Jackson. Jackson on his own. Jackson slipped it back towards Steve Walters, the hooker. He's gone without it. And Illawarra come up with possession. There was even uncertainty as whether they were onside that time. But
Well,
Larder has had a big second half.
He certainly has. Pity they couldn't get it together in the first half.
And now running it out wide. This is it. Bradley again. The ball's come back. That's Hardy with it. Hardy going up towards the halfway. He can't offload the ball's back on the pass back on the inside. Midway, half and quarter line. And this will be a penalty. Not allowing Hardy to get up and play it.
Well, you've got to hand it to this young Bradley. He's taken his opportunity very well, David. He hasn't been on for long, but in the time that he has, he's certainly impressed, and I think you can mark his name down in the big league program.
He had a fair game in the reserve grade match too.
My word, and on the performance of the Steelers forwards today, I think he'd be one of the first selected. He's done very well.
And there's Upfield. He's been their best forward by far today. And Saunders with another opportunity. He's put that ball back in towards the centre. Meninga takes it superbly under pressure from Larder. Good ball and all tackle. But Big Mal safe as ever. He's as big as the Rock of Gibraltar. But he took that safely. Turned his back to the opposition to shield the ball. Saunders, though, good thinking. He ran out of room on the touchline.
Certainly was, David. A good kick. But notice Meninga gets back in time. Now, a couple of years ago, he wouldn't have even dreamed of wanting to do that. That's the difference. The way down in Canberra now, they're keen.
So now Canberra running it out from their own quarter line. Only moments left in the match. Steve Walters, he hasn't had a bad game either. He's knocked that on at dummy half. And that's Coyne, who's he's a bit groggy there, the second rower.
Well, he's done some heavy work today. A couple of tackles that Coyne's brought off. He really has put a lot of effort into it, as all the Raiders have today. They've done very, very well. Must be very impressed. I can't say the same about Brian Smith. He'll be far from impressed by the way they've played today, the Steelers.
Certainly not a good way to celebrate his 33rd birthday.
You can think of better ways.
He's now running it out wide is Hardy. Hardy up over the quarter line. Hardy might go all the way. He managed to try and get that ball back on the inside, and Faye's got it for Canberra. Now it's with Henjak. And there's the full-time siren in the background. And so that is the end of the ball game here at the Illawarra or Wollongong Showground. Illawarra, they just dropped the ball far too many times. They missed too many tackles in the end, but let's give credit where it's due. The Canberra side created too many opportunities and played just too well. A great performance from the Canberra Raiders, and they certainly are going to be one of the teams to beat in the 1987 Winfield Cup. They've defeated Illawarra by 29 points to 16. A mighty performance from the Canberra Raiders. And look at Big Mal Meninga, a big smile all over his face. As well there would be. Gary Belcher leaving the field, another one of the stars, but all of the Canberra backs were stars. But I'm certain when we get downstairs later on that when we speak to the likes of Wayne Bennett and Don Ferner, they'll say the backs can't ever perform well unless the forwards go well. And all of their forwards went well today, especially when you consider that Brent Todd was sent off midway through the first half.
Yes, well, David, he's got a good unit now, isn't he? I mean, Ferner's shaped it up well. He's brought down a guy with new ideas, Bennett. There's not many coaches that do that. Not in rugby league today. The knives in the back, but no, not Ferner. He's brought this guy down. He's got the new ideas, and it's shown today that they're trying to get the ball out wide. I've never seen Meninga be so as enthusiastic. You'd think he'd just walked off straight off from the Kangaroo Tour. He's continued on. Belcher is getting better and better. And what more pressure can he put on Gary Jack? It was a tremendous effort today.
Well, what a day it was. There we are. There's the details. Illawarra 16, Larder, Worthington and Saunders the try scorers. Carney 2 goals, but Canberra the victors, 29 points. Ferguson 2 tries, right back to his best. Bacco, Jackson and Young also scoring tries. Meninga 4 goals and O'Sullivan that field goal. So 29 points to 16. A very good performance there by the Canberra Raiders, and certainly they're going to go from strength to strength.